You're listening to a podcast from the Finnish Football Show.
I'm supposed to do a clap and then a back on me. Yes. Right. Yes, it's the Finnish Football Show. Hello, my name's Rich Nelson. I'm at Escape to Swarmy, and passenger this week is Keke Mulleri. Hello, Keke.
Moi moi.
It's just the two of us today, so this is going to be a little bit of a, I don't know, we'll try not to make it too whistle-stop, will we? But we've got a lot to talk about. It's been a while since we did something that wasn't sort of summarising a Huuhkajat game or anything, but I guess at the time of recording, we're on Thursday the 13th of October, 22. We've already got our Veikkausliiga champions for the season. How do you? It's a shame we didn't get our end of year decider like we had last year.
Yeah, mate. I was really pinning my hopes on that one. I was really looking forward to a title decider last game of the season. But yeah, they picked you to it. Huuhkajat, they're officially back. I mean, after that start to the season, it was hard to see them making their way back, but they've done what they tend to do, and they picked up the trophy.
Yeah, it's funny. The richest team in Finland with the biggest squad wins the title. I don't know what's going on there, but no sour grapes here. But yeah, I mean, to be fair to them, they the second half of the season they really picked it up, didn't they? I think other than that defeat at Honka in a couple of weeks ago, really, and again we can talk about that as well. But yeah, the start of the season they had, and all the sort of on and off the pitch issues. They've had some really terrible injuries throughout. We've had Europa Risky got injured in that. I think it's the cup tie at VPS. Moran was out for the season as well. I think that was kind of the one that was designated as a Black Monday for them, because they lost those two for the season, and their Brazilian fella got himself sacked on the same day. And they got knocked out. They got through the cup on penalties that day. But yeah, I think at that point it was kind of difficult to really see where the season was going to go for them.
It certainly looked like it was going to be an uphill struggle. But yeah, fair play to them. You know what I mean? You said, they've got the biggest budget, the biggest squad or whatever. But yeah, they've fair play to them. After those early season knocks, they had to sort of pick themselves up, and yeah, they turned it around. So I mean, yeah, it would have been nice to see a bit more of the riskies, but yeah, the players who have come and filled in have done the business. And to be fair, some of the players in that Huuhkajat squad have come to the fore, and they've even managed to all across the pitch managed to pick up their little international call-ups as well. So yeah, fair play to them.
I mean, the strange thing about it is that before the season and during some of the transfers they've made has been a little bit of a kind of retirement home for former Finland national team players, and they had Joona Toivio sign them in the closed season. They had and during the summer they signed Helmarit and Paulus Arajuri. Jukka Raitila came back as well, and it was that kind of, if you played for Finland then you're past 30, come to Huuhkajat. And yet Helmarit's done well, Raitila's done well, but some of the players who've really come through this season have been either their younger players. Santeri Vannanen has been excellent when I've seen him play. And also, when you look at some of the players that they brought in, like Connor Hazard on loan from Celtic's been in really good form. He's done really well and kept him in several games, including in Europe. And I think when you look at that and you look at the ability, because they're two strikers, Malik and Radulovic, they've not done brilliantly. Let's be fair. I mean, Malik in particular, I think he's only scored twice since he signed, and they have been relying on goals elsewhere. And yet, for them, they can just go, right, well, we'll bring on Olasanya, who scored, I don't know, he must be nearly in double figures for the season now. He did well for their junior side and on loan at Yarrow last season. David Brown's been pitching in with goals.
Yep.
Santtu Hostika as well, and Lucas Lingman coming on loan in the summer was a really good signing for him. So yeah, I mean they've got yeah, by far the best squad and the best players. So I guess it speaks for itself.
There you go. The cream rises, as so they say, mate. But you're right. You know, they've been a bit shrewd about their business. I mean, you might say that the picking up the ex-Huuhkajat players was obvious ones, but yeah, they've been a bit shrewd in some of their other business, and it's paid off for them. So yeah, we congratulate them on their. How many championships is that now? 50?
Oh, I think it's 32 for the men's team.
Men's,
and I think
yeah.
this is the third in a row in the league, and yeah, it's hard to see really with the money they're getting from the Europa League. They've sold Casper Terho to the club in Belgium, so they've got a decent fee for him. You do wonder if any of the others will be moving abroad. I mean, if they can keep Lingman, that's a good signing. But yeah, that kind of you see that gap is just going to get bigger, really, and you just hope that Kups, Honka, Asiko, Inter are going to go through a bit of a butterfly moment over the winter. Hopefully, their new coaching changes that really kick on for next year. But I mean, as we're talking now, Huuhkajat are just about to kick off in Europe away to Ludogorets, and for them, I mean, they've only got the 1 point so far, which was at home to Ludogorets last week. But at the time of writing, they're only 3 points behind Roma, so yeah, could get that third place
possible.
spot. I'm sure Mourinho will be watching in terror, knowing that Huuhkajat are breathing down their necks.
Yeah.
I mean, speaking about the rest of the league, I mean, we'll talk about the Championship Series now, as we're one game from the end, and to be honest, pretty much everything bar the odd, I think the fifth and sixth place have been sorted now. I mean, we've talked, you know, I won't talk about Kups too much, you know, not that I'm bitter, but you know, things haven't gone well for them really since the summer, and it's hard to know where that's been. But we've kind of been talking on pods and on WhatsApp about how exciting it's been to see Honka kind of return to the top half of the table.
Yeah, it's been brilliant. I mean, they for them, I mean, they finished on 40. Well, not finished. There's a game left, and they're about 48 points. But the medals have been dished out. I think they're confirmed as the bronze medal, aren't they? So, I mean, for Honka, who have been through their trials and tribulations in the not so distant past, they've had a fantastic season. I mean, they picked up some really good results. They were early season league leaders, I think, at one point, and yeah, they've managed to sort of go to. I mean, I joked there and said the cream comes to the top. Do you know what I mean? But you start the season, you would have put your money on either Huuhkajat or Kups being in first and second spot. So for Honka to come in third, they've done really, really well. I think that's something to be celebrated. You know, that bronze medal position for them.
Yeah, because I mean, for a while, you know, they got relegated. They basically kind of went bust and reformed, didn't they? And they've had a lot of issues. I think with their ownership hasn't been as transparent as some, and that. But you know, they seem to have happened upon a decent scouting system. They've been bringing in. I think that the players they've been bringing in have been good. They've got a strong core to the team. Agon Sadiku has 14 goals in 25 games. It's a cracking return, and if you go beyond him, you've got players like Rui Modesto, Kevin Janssen as well, and I mean, even at the back they've done well. It's just a shame that it really was, up until maybe a month ago or so, it really was a 3-horse race. Unfortunately, I think the experience of the others just kind of put them down a little bit. Yeah,
I mean, I think you've hit the nail on the head there, mate. It comes down to that winning mentality and that experience of seeing it out to the end. But as you say, it was really exciting to see Honka still in it, and with something to play for coming right late into the season. You mentioned them players there, but that young lad Florian Klebs, he had a decent season as well. You know, pitched in with a few goals and a few assists. I think he was on loan when he reached. So I don't know if he'll be.
They signed him from. I think it was a permanent signing. I think he was from Dortmund's second.
Oh right,
second team.
Yeah. So hopefully he'll hang about and they can push on again next year.
Yeah, fingers crossed. And in fourth place, which again we were robbed, but we were hoping for a decider, because as well as having first against second on Sunday, we also got third against fourth. Haka are going into that game. Unfortunately, they've been confirmed as fourth after pushing a very late push for the bronze medal match. I think at one point they won. Oh God, did they win 5 matches in a row? I think it was 5 matches in a row they won, and they had the Flying Scotsman Lee Irwin with 17 goals in 26 games, and you kind of think when Haka came up last year and that they were quite. I'm trying to be complimentary. They were very solid. Not particularly exciting, but they were definitely a solid team under Timo Tainio. But they found someone with goals, and it's amazing what a goal scorer can do to a team like that. Yeah,
I mean, again, that's a result for them. A 4th place finish for Haka. That's a decent return from this season, I think. You know, as you say, they've added a goal scorer to that stingy back line that they had, and it's paid dividends. They've come in 4th spot. So I think everyone involved in the club's got to be pleased with that when you consider their recent history as well.
Yeah, and with this, and we'll touch on it. I mean, Irwin only signed a 1-year contract when he moved in the winter, so it's quite likely he'll leave. He'd been linked with some clubs in the summer, and Haka turned down what they said was a 6-figure transfer fee. And you do wonder. I mean, it's whether they'd have got to 4th without him if they sold in the summer. Probably not. But I know friend of the show, Larry, did say a couple of weeks ago after he scored against Asiko that it was the best performance by a Veikkausliiga striker he'd ever seen. And there were some jokes calling him
Praise indeed.
The Haaland of Veikkausliiga. But when you look at where this sort of table leads us, is that we've gone back this year to having a European playoff, and you've got 5 teams competing for that last remaining Conference League spot. And I mean, it's not like Finnish football to make things complicated, but but you've got the teams coming in 7th and 8th, i.e. the top 2 of the bottom half of the table.
The relegation group.
Well, the relegation group will play 5th and 6th in the top half. So you've got Asiko, Inter, Asi Oulu, and one other, who I think at the moment is likely to be VPS. Well, yes, that changes. They play each other. Then the winners of that game play each other. So then the winner of that game goes through to play a 2-legged game against Haka, and the winner of that goes into the qualifying rounds for the Conference League next season.
There you go.
So you've got an extra 5 games at the end of the season to decide who gets to play away to probably some team from Malta or Kosovo in July next year. So, well, good for them.
No, that's it. I mean, you know, if obviously that's a bit of a convoluted way to decide who's going to go into those Conference League playoff rounds. But I mean, if you're VPS or I'll say Oulu, and you've got a route into the Conference League, that's a result, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? I mean, Vepsel there, like for them to finish in that position and be able to at the end of the season have something to play for and be fighting for a possible European spot. That's unbelievable. That's amazing.
Well, bear in mind they came up last season, and Oulu won the relegation playoff over 2 legs, and they're potentially, well, I've lost count now, 3-4 games from Europe. And you think as well that this only happens because Cups won the cup, so the place goes into 8. That competition drops down a place. But even so, it gives those teams a little bit of something, because you think, you know, playing in Europe, even in that Conference League qualifying round, I think is worth about 150,000 euros. I think you get for competing in it, and then you get prize money for winning and going through. So, you know, it's not exactly small fry when you look at, you know, those sort of clubs and what they could do with that money. It's it's massive, really.
Definitely. I mean, you know, you're talking a decent percentage of the budget there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you get that sort of windfall, that's like a lottery win for some of those clubs. So good luck to everyone taking part.
Yeah, and we'll round that off. The 5th and 6th teams play on Sunday. That's Asico against Inter, or it might be Inter Asico. And that was the game we had last season that ended up being a bit of a shootout for the top scorer, with Chalman and Tuco both ending the season as level top scorers. Neither player is still at the club, and both teams have somewhat struggled in this post-season lull. Inter have lost all 4 games in this post-season period, so they've got a lot to do. Jarko Viss, I don't know if we mentioned it last time, has been confirmed as their new manager for next year. He did a good job with Ilves before it all kind of went a little bit sour. So it's nice to see him back. He's been very busy punditing. So we'll see wholesale changes.
It will be interesting to see Jarko Viss back in the league. I mean, he was at Ilves for quite a while, wasn't he? And he was, they were challenging. He was doing great things there. Not quite sure what was behind it all going sour, but I don't think we can say they've been the same side since.
No, I mean he left. I think it's about 18 months ago, sort of, about maybe halfway through last season. I mean, he won the cup with them a couple of years before that and got him into Europe. I think there were some issues with recruitment, and I think there was some behind the scenes stuff that I think generally things have gone a little bit stale, which they tend to do. I mean, he'd been there for 5 years, I want to say, and obviously done fairly well with Tampa United previously. So. I mean, he's definitely got a decent pedigree, but he's been touted with a lot of the vacant jobs over the last year or so. So to actually step into Inter is a well-resourced club, albeit with a lot of work to do on the pitch. In the bottom half, let's have a laugh. Huuhkajat were finally relegated a couple of weeks ago. I don't know how they managed to drag it out.
What do you say about that?
So we've got 26 games, 1 win. 1 win.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. We had all the disciplinary problems. We had the Europa League legend Beto coming in and getting himself sent off and all sorts. We had, Mixel Partolainen turning up, and I'm thinking, right, here we go. They're going to turn it round. And 1 win all season. I mean, their fans have been absolutely immense every week. Home and away. They're one of the biggest mobs who travel to away games. But they've not really been repaid with results on the pitch. I mean, I've watched a couple of the games. I don't think you can accuse the players of not trying. It just whatever they tried didn't seem to work. It was just, I mean, for me, obviously I mentioned Beto. We had the Portuguese coach at the start. That was a bit of a farce, wasn't it? And then Beto was doing all sorts to try and get himself out of there. It was it was all a bit of a mishmash. But as I say, I don't think you can fault the players' effort. It just nothing seemed to go for them. And they've had to say goodbye to a couple of club legends as well now. So there's been some retirements as well. So relegation, wholesale changes. It needs a bit of a revamp down there.
Yeah, because Patalainen said after the relegation was confirmed, I think there were still 2 games left, that he'd see out the remainder of the season. And then about 2 days later, he went, "No, I'm gone now." He obviously didn't fancy it. And you had in the game against Mariehamn at the weekend, you had Jukka Halme, that was his last game, and Janne Backman, and also Sakari Mattila, who is retired. He's suspended for the final game of the season because he plays for Huuhkajat. Of course, he's suspended. So that turned out to be his final game, and he's said, he's got nothing more to give professional football. I mean, it's just, it was a painful watch, quite frankly, and I know we're not here to tear them apart or anything, because there's a lot of stuff going on off the pitch there. They've got more ownership regimes than I think I've gone through socks over my lifetime, but it's been a difficult one, and the fact that they managed to drag it out that long. I mean, they got a tune out of Roman Eremenko once he got himself settled in. I think he had a bit of a knock, and he started playing well and scoring and playing 90 minutes. So you wonder where he'll be next season. But and hopefully, I mean, we don't want to say they'll come back stronger or anything, but perhaps this might be a bit of a shot in the arm. I think they've had 4 years this time round in the top division. So
yeah, I mean, for me, that club needs to be in the top division. The Stadin Derby needs to be the standout fixture for Finnish football. The spectacle that it creates. I don't want to see another 10, 15, however many years it was without a Stadin Derby. So I do hope that they can sort it all out, and I do hope that they can bounce back. But it will remain to be seen. I know some fans of the club and people who are close to the club, and there's. I know they have juniors, but I don't think there's much of a promotion from junior level going on over there. It all seems to have been a bit band-aidy, quick fixes that haven't sort of worked. So, yeah, maybe a little rebuild, and hopefully they can come back.
Yeah, I think when you look at a lot of the other clubs in the top 2 or 3 divisions, they don't have that kind of reach beyond the fan base. I don't think there's really that kind of community side to it. There's not that kind of depth and breadth of sort of 3-4 junior sides below them. I know they have, they did have anyway, the other teams, but there doesn't seem to be that kind of that all-encompassing thing that, when you're up against Huuhkajat, it's going to be difficult. But yeah, but that seems to be something they just have to deal with, and hopefully they can find what works for them. Whatever it happens to be. But I think, as you say, Helsinki definitely needs a second club, and hopefully it's them. But we'll see. There's definitely a couple more bubbling around in the region below them. But we're also, I say, Lahti. We jest mid-table mediocrity. They are well and truly in 11th place.
Not this time.
No, they've been absolutely rubbish.
I mean, everyone in Lahti is thanking God for Huuhkajat, I think, because they've only picked up 4 wins all season. Unbelievable. And that they are a bit of a butt of our jokes, you know what I mean? Because we do just say they sit around mid-table, hover at mid-table all season. But I mean, they'll just be glad to see the back of this season, I think. You know what I mean? But yeah, they will. They're going to have to play a relegation playoff, so it could get worse.
Well, we talked about Huuhkajat. I mean, Lahti's discipline has been appalling as well. I mean, the amount of players they've lost to suspensions over the last few weeks. I mean, is it Edward Emsis? He, I think, recently got 2 lots of suspensions in a row. I think he got 11 bookings in 18 games, which is pretty special, quite frankly.
Yeah.
And you look, I mean, they had a manager change during the season as well, but it didn't make much of a difference. And their top scorer has 3 goals, which, and that's from midfield. So it's, it is what it is for them. And as you said, yeah, they'll play a relegation playoff, and it'll be against the winner of TPS and Yarrow, who play on Monday, as we're talking now. So they play on Monday for the right to play a 2-legged tie against Lahti.
Yeah.
So we'll see. TPS are perennial playoff participants. Yeah. I think at one point, I think they played 4 out of 5. So in 5 years, they played 4 of the playoffs as either a top division or second tier side. So if they get through, we'll see. But I mean, they recently sacked Jonathan Johansson after a fairly mediocre season where they were expected to coast upwards, but KTP beat them to it. So they'll be back at the first attempt. And yeah, the rest of the season, the rest of the relegation series, Ilves kind of limped away again. It was not a great season for them. I think thanks to Pennanen really kept them kind of going. Mariehamn, after a bad start, they picked up goals. I think they had their top scorers, Eri, who scored, I think, 7 games in a row now. He's scored in, and I think he's probably older than we are, but he's still knocking them in. So 11 goals in 21 games he's got, and he's coming up to 36. So
wow.
Prime of his life. He's doing well, but he scored in his last 5 games, 6 in 5 games. still do well. VPS and Essi Sainio are confirmed as 7th. So yeah, good season for them in sort of hindsight. I think at the start of the season they'd have been probably happy to escape any trouble at the bottom, but there we go. Oulu have been really good to watch actually. So yeah, look forward to seeing them next season.
Yeah.
One thing we thought we'd talk about, and we shared this, and we're still trying to get our heads around it. And I mean, you shared the images in our WhatsApp group, but in the Uukkonen, the second tier, the first division, at the end of next season is going to go through a real sort of heavy restructuring. If you're able to, Keke, because I'm struggling, are you able to put into words what's going to happen to Finnish football structure?
They're going to mess about with it a fair bit. I think the end game is to have two competitive, similarly competitive divisions. I believe, like the top two divisions to be of a not a huge gap in standard. That's the end game, I believe. But yeah, I mean, this has just been announced. Obviously, the graphic will be in the show notes to try and explain better than we're mumbling on about what actually happens. But I've heard on the grapevine that this experiment might even only last 4 or 5 seasons. And then they're on about, I don't know if there's another revamp they're already working on, or whether they're just going to do away with their new Veikkausliiga. But yeah, we won't get too carried away with getting rid of it. We've got to get it started first. But yeah, I mean, from a personal note, I'm just absolutely delighted that JJK managed to get promoted to Uukkonen this season, because if it would have been next season, I'm not quite sure where they would have ended up. I mean, there's all sorts of convolutions that you got to go through, and there's if you're in a certain group of Kakkonen and you come second, you can either end up in Uukkonen or going down depending on the teams in the other groups and how well they fared, So it's it's a bit of a strange one, but yeah, the best way to try and work it out is to have a look at the image that Palolito put out, and try and get your head around it. But we're going to end up with a 10-team Veikkausliiga and a 12-team Uukkonen, and then 3 Kakkonen groups of 10 teams, I believe.
Yeah. So it's like that meme, with a fella with a string on the board going a bit bonkers. He can't work it out. So I think so the plan is essentially the Veikkausliiga is going to be, I think, is being created because to kind of make the teams going up to Veikkausliiga stronger. And I think the idea is that it'll kind of it's like getting teams ready. It's almost like grooming them to do okay in the top division, because there's been talk for years about making the Veikkausliiga bigger. And to be honest, after this season, that is not what Veikkausliiga needs. Veikkausliiga needs 12-ish competitive teams. And this year you've had one appalling team, one who's not been much better. So really making it bigger isn't really the answer. And I think what they're looking at is doing that. But yeah, and even the naming convention too. You've got Veikkausliiga and Uukkonen. I mean, they're virtually the same name. And you've got, if you get relegated from Uukkonen next year, you get relegated into the Uukkonen. So what's going on there? It's weird because you can kind of see what they're trying to do, but the end result doesn't make any sense. I think I know that they've had a committee set up to kind of improve the infrastructure of Finnish football, and we saw that this year with the Suomen Cup, which has been a roaring success in the most part. So they thought, well, why don't we meddle with something else? And again, I think with the noblest of intentions, this is an absolute shambles. And I look forward to seeing it in action.
Yeah. I mean, everyone, we obviously love Finnish football, and we love it for lots of reasons. Its administrative quirks are one of the reasons we love it so much. And here's another one for us to contend with. But But yeah, I mean, I've also heard today that that Palalito are looking for some sponsorship for their new Huuhkajliiga. So if they're interested in calling it the Finnish football show podcast Huuhkajliiga, you know where to find us.
We might be able to rummage down the back of the sofa and see what we can find.
That's it.
Sell a couple more t-shirts.
Yeah, and buy us coffees so we can sponsor Huuhkajliiga.
Yeah, because producer Mark will beat us if if
we
you
fail
don't
to sell.
If we don't sell anything, we'll have to go and sleep out on the streets or something like that. He'll be in his tower, scowling at us all for making fun of Essi earlier on. Yeah. We have been naughty boys, Keke. We've been very naughty.
We have.
But as you said earlier, Yiiko are on their way back up.
Yeah, it's a funny one. They almost did an Arsenal Invincibles, Rich, which you'll remember from back in the day. But yeah, they went away to Vaasa and got their only loss of the season on what should have been a promotion party from our old mate Omar Marley. So everyone from Uvascular who went across there had a bit of a miserable trip back home on the bus. But I didn't have to wait too long. It was only a week or so later that they got the points that saw them secured as their group Kakkonen champions. And yeah, they go up straight into Huuhkanen.
Excellent. Well, to say we're getting closer back to having a Savon derby again. So,
yes,
it's been a while, hasn't it?
Yeah, all right.
No, but I say it's been that's again something to look forward to. I think when Kups played, was it Mikkeli in the cup this year? That was treated as a bit of a derby. It's not a real one though, but more again administrative rather than anything else. But here we go. Well, as we said, producer Mark will slap us and kick us out the pod and the WhatsApp group if we don't talk about our t-shirts that we sell. And I guess we're getting towards the end of the 2022 range now. I suppose we're going to have to get cracking over the winter. We've got our t-shirts with Ali, the newly betrothed member of the group. Congratulations, Ali. Keep that secret.
Yeah, they look all right. The old five-a-side team with now there's 5 Finnish football show members. Only 2 of us have turned up tonight, but there you go. But yeah, get yourself over to tpublic.com and have a click, have a browse through the designs. There'll be some new designs coming out for next season, so get them while you can. Yeah, and there's plenty of other bits as well. There's the other shop. We'll dig the link out for stickers and mugs, because now that our Suomi caller in Kingston is asking people to bring their own mugs, I think I spy a marketing opportunity there. Be selling a few in the cafe there. I might actually get a full measure of coffee in my cup this year if everyone's listening, which we shall see. And on that subject, buy me a coffee. I'm going to contribute towards the running costs of the website, the podcast feed, the YouTube channel, all the Instagram adverts that we're putting out, trying to get more people to come and see what we're doing. And because I think over the come the end of October, we're going to be back to trying to do some more interviews, I suppose. Yeah, we will do. Yeah, we're. I'm working on a couple of interviews. There's one I thought I prepared, but with every week that passes and another goal that goes in, you find yourself having to rewrite parts of your interview. But yeah, we hope to bring you some more chats with the players, both the Huuhkajat and Helmarit players. So yeah, stay tuned and we'll see what we can bring you. Yeah. Speaking of Helmarit, it's a shame. So the retirement of Essi Sainio this coming at the end of this month. She retired from international football after the Euros, but she's hanging up her boots after a very long career travelling around Europe, and she's hanging up her boots for Hoiko, which is where she's ended up in the last couple of years. So yeah, it's a shame that I think a lot of these players are coming to the end of their careers, and it makes us feel really old. Been around watching most of it, haven't we? No, that's it. Yeah, I mean, what a career that Essi Sainio has had. Do you know what I mean? She's she's been a professional, a paid professional for many years. Left Finland, went out there and did the business. Came home and had that last season at Hoiko. But that my lasting memory of Essi will be, when Helmarit were sort of cruelly beaten 1-0 by Denmark, and Essi sort of slumped to her knees on the pitch, and you could see that she'd absolutely given everything, you know. And despite it being a defeat, it was an image that will live long in the mind. I think it was just showed you how much she's given football, really. You know, that one image you could sum it up. That was how much she'd given from her own life to the game of football. So yeah, enjoy your well-earned retirement, Essi Sainio.
Indeed, and after the last round of internationals, Finland ducked out of the Women's World Cup. Ireland have gone on to qualify for the tournament next year. So fair play to them. And Finland are 30th in the FIFA Women's rankings that came out this morning. Bit hot off the press news for you there. So for the second half, I don't have my whistle. I'm sure producer Mark will stick one in. We are going to talk about something we hinted at the end of the last episode, the draw for qualifying for Euro 2024 was made on Sunday, and Finland, being in pot 2, aren't going to argue about this Group H, are they, Keke?
No, not at all. I mean, we obviously we've been through the Nations League. We've followed that, you know, as it progressed. You know, if I went to Montenegro, if you look back to the last episode, you'll see me hijack the drop into the pod and say hello from Montenegro. But that win in Montenegro basically cemented, and the results that followed, sort of from the other teams, cemented second place in that Nations League group for Finland, put them in pot 2, and ultimately helped us out with this group we've got, which I think, you know, we can all be quite happy with. Obviously, the big gun, the team that came out the top seeds there, Denmark. Not too far to go. Do you know what I mean? It's there's bound to be a few people who fancy trekking back to Parken to see that one, and you know, which we all remember what happened there. But arguably one of the greatest victories in Finland's recent history. I mean, yeah, the rest of the group: Slovenia, Kazakhstan, Northern Ireland, and San Marino. I mean, you wouldn't argue with that, would you?
No, and I think when you look at some of the other teams that were pulled out of the tournament in that qualifying, you look at England, we're in pot 2, got Italy and Ukraine. Very tough opposition there. I think Finland have done quite well, as you said. Denmark away to start, followed by Northern Ireland away, and we were reminiscing before the start around the last visit there back in 2015. It was very much the tail end of Mixu Patalainen's reign of terror. And well, shambles of a game that was. But yeah, back on another Sunday evening in Belfast. So I think that might be a potential away trip for certainly one or two of us anyway. When you look,
having a look at that, mate.
Yeah, but when you look at the fixtures, I mean, again, the way the international calendar has been condensed, so all the fixtures for the qualifying are going to be played in 2023, starting in March. Finland have then got a home double header against Slovenia and San Marino in June, followed by Kazakhstan away, Denmark at home in September, October, Slovenia away and Kazakhstan at home, and ending with Northern Ireland at home and San Marino away in November. So realistically, not a bad draw.
No, not at all. I mean, you look through that group, and I'm always optimistic. I'm ever the optimist. But you look through that group and you think all of these games are winnable. You know, like obviously Denmark are a step up. They're a classy outfit. I mean, I don't expect Kazakhstan to be a turnover away from home. But you know, the Northern Ireland, they're in a bit. They've had their fun. They're in a bit of a transition. We need to be going to places like Belfast and San Marino and scoring bags full of goals past these teams. Do you know what I mean? So even the way that the fixtures have come out, like you said there, Rich, you know, like the running's decent for us.
I think was it San Marino at home in was it 2010? It was Jari Litmanen's last game for Finland, wasn't it? That was a 8-0, I think that one was. But yeah, it's not bad. And when you look at the top two in the group are guaranteed to qualify for the Euros. Kazakhstan are already guaranteed a playoff place because they won their Nations League group. It's I mean, it really is. I mean, and again, it's easy to say before a ball's been kicked, but I think the team, the way they finished the Nations League campaign, is in good shape, and you wonder where Denmark will be after the World Cup, for example. And you know, there's just so much potential there. And we saw after, obviously, for Euro 2020, when Finland had a playoff place in the bag and didn't need it by coming second in that group. It just shows that if they can carry on that momentum, and you know, they've got 2 games between now and then. It's North Macedonia and Norway.
Yeah.
Away in November. But yeah, coming into this, it's a nice little thing. I mean, this kind of generation of players, again, if they could get through to that final in Germany in just under 2 years' time, you know, just show that Euro 2021 wasn't a one-off. It's yeah, it's all to play for, and I can't wait.
No, looking forward to it, mate. Looking forward to it. Obviously, the old WhatsApp groups have been absolutely red hot as soon as the draw and the fixtures came out. People already making their travel plans. As I said to you just before we started recording, you know, for us, for the 2 of us based in England, like it'd be rude not to be in Belfast, I think. So we'll have to have a look at that one. And then yeah, Slovenia looks decent. I'd love to go there. We'll have a look, mate. We'll be at a couple of the fixtures, I'm sure. So yeah, can't wait. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, and we've talked about, I know last time before the France World Cup qualifier, we all got together, the 4 of us as it was at the time, and I know Mark's got his eye on Slovenia at home in June. Be a Friday night in Helsinki. That'll be fun. If Finnair decide that £250 for a return flight, booking 8 months in advance isn't too steep, they might like to lower the price a little bit, and yeah, we might think about it.
Yeah.
I don't think we can get a megabus that far from here, unfortunately. Well, yeah. So I mean, that's Euro 2024 qualifying, and again, you know, in the build up to that, I suppose, yeah, the end of March, we'll be getting our heads together and working out. Yeah, Denmark away, Northern Ireland away. We'll start getting some pods ready. We'll see how the winter goes. I think by then we'll be full in with the Liga Cup and the Swarman Cup. But yes, all good. Otherwise, Keke, what's been happening with Finns abroad? I think some of the Finland players have got new managers. They've been playing in the Champions League. What's caught your eye recently?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's been a bit. The one who I do want to mention first is Carl-Johan Eriksson. I mean, Dundee United have had a bit of a season, to be honest. A bit of a start to the season, to be honest. They've been rooted down the bottom, and they weren't doing too well. I mean, Sacco wasn't first choice at the start of the season. I think the fella, is it Sigrist, the geezer's name? But anyway, he's come in, and yeah, as of earlier this week, he's kept himself 2 clean sheets in a row, as Dundee United have managed to turn it round with victories over Aberdeen and Hibernian. So yeah, he's come in, Sacco. He's got his 2 clean sheets. He's you know, obviously he's had some painful memories this season as well. He shipped a few, you know, Celtic managed to put a few past him, but yeah, you know, 2 recent games, 2 clean sheets, so it's onwards and upwards for Dundee United and for Carl-Johan Eriksson. So yeah, fair play to him. I mean, over in the MLS, you've got Lassi Lappanainen. He's scoring goals and pitching in with assists. It's quite interesting, actually. I watched the game the other night, Inter Miami versus Club Football Montreal. So it was Robert Taylor up against Lassi Lappalainen, and yeah, it was Lassi who came out on top. He managed to score, and I think they ran out 3-1 winners in the end, Montreal. But yeah, so the MLS players are doing okay. Robin Lodd's back in action after his mysterious withdrawal from the recent Huuhkajat squad. Didn't fancy the flight or whatever, but yeah, so but yeah, he's back in action. Ant-Man, after his heroics in Montenegro, he scored one for Nordjylland in Denmark. So he's banging them in for his club side. So yeah, I mean, there's performances all over the place. Just will mention as well, Thomas Lamb. He's obviously off the international scene now for a bit, but he's making a new life for himself down under. He's gone and joined Melbourne City in the Australian A-League. So we'll keep a little eye on him and see how he gets on. But yeah, it's been decent. One guy I do want to mention as well, Rich, is you might remember a chap by the name of Simon Scrab, who was in and about it a little while ago. He's been doing all right in Allsvenskan as well. So he's tapped in a couple of goals recently. So we know that Rivet doesn't mind looking at form players rather than necessarily reputations. And so we might see Simon Scrab back in the reckoning soon.
Yeah, I mean he was going great guns, and then he had a move to Brescia that I think fell down around just before COVID, just before lockdown. I think he moved to Italy, and it all kind of went a little bit wrong from there. Really, obviously not his fault, and I think he had some injury problems and that as well. But yeah, he was very much in the Finland, use that cliche, in and around the side. Back in the day, sort of the 2019, and hopefully this will be a route back for him. I will say, actually, you mentioned Ant-Man scoring at the weekend. Say Ant-Man, it's like with the Avengers podcast or something. But yesterday for Nordjylland, they played a cup game, and Ant-Man scored. Leo Walter, who I don't know if he's played for the under-21s yet, but he's definitely under-19. He played the full 90 minutes for Nordjylland and got 3 assists. And we also had Maxim Stopyin, who was an Ilves trainee, came on and made his debut for the senior team and got the assist for Ant-Man's goal yesterday. So
nice.
I don't know, there was an article in the Independent, Dan Story wrote last week, the week before, talking about how Nordjylland is this kind of doing, one of these clubs that you get every so often, doing things a little bit differently. And it's nice to see that, Ant-Man, after sort of bursting onto the scene a couple of weeks ago against Montenegro, that the fact that he's getting these regular games, regular goals, and hopefully I think he's made that place his own. I know with the Finland games coming up in 5 weeks' time, Anssi Suhonen has returned to Hamburg after his injury at the end of last season, and he's been in dialogue with Rive as well. I don't think there's a guarantee of a call up, but he's definitely being looked at ahead of those friendlies, because he was in. I think he would have been called up for the Nations League games in the summer had he not. I think he fractured his tibia, I think it was. So so again, that strength in depth at the junior levels is fantastic. We've had Sinisalo, who's doing well for Burton,
really well,
on loan from Aston Villa, and our old friend Will Jaskalainen signed himself a contract at Wimbledon, promptly got himself injured, and is taking away some Wimbledon money and not having work for it. So again, another one for producer Mark to bleep out.
Yeah, brilliant.
And yeah, we've had Glenn Kamara playing or not playing against Liverpool in the Champions League for Rangers. Radetzky's had, I think it's fair to say, an up and down season for Leverkusen.
He has. Got a new manager now.
Yeah.
I think he managed to impress his new manager in his first game. He kept a clean sheet, but against Schalke. But yeah, then promptly had to pick it out the net a couple of times in the old Champions League. So yeah, it has been a bit up and down for our mate Luque. But yeah, Xabi Alonso's gone in there at Leverkusen, and Luque's number one. He's captain of the club, so I don't think we've got anything to worry about. But hopefully the rest of the team can turn the form around, and they can, because their league position is nothing what they would be expecting.
Yeah, but yeah, definitely something we'll be keeping our eye on over the winter. And our Instagram page is where the most up to date Finns abroad can be found. Usually of a Sunday morning after you've had your bike ride.
That's it, mate. Yeah. So yeah, as the results come in, I'll see if I can beg, steal, or borrow a decent enough image of what's been going on and stick it on the old Instagram. So yeah, get over there and follow us. It's Finnish_football_show. Yeah,
which conveniently links to our Facebook page as well. So double the likes. But
that's it.
Yeah, well, I guess on that bombshell, mate, we'll wrap this one up and give old Marky something to do. I think we've had the plugs. I'm on Twitter at Escape to Swarmy, and you are.
I'm on Twitter at Keke.
And yeah, we'll have links to those Instagram, the Twitter profiles, the Facebook groups in the show notes, and plenty of those really hard to read graphics that we're still trying to decipher, even though we're on the Palolito Media email circulars, and we just cannot work it out, can we?
It all will become clear. Don't worry.
Yes. In a year's time, when hopefully we've had enough time to digest it all.
Indeed.
But yes. Anyway, so that's the Finnish football show. We'll be back soon. I don't really know when. Probably we'll have to work something out. So the Veikkausliiga finishes this Sunday, and we go into our really long and strange Hunger Games for the Euro playoff. And
that's it.
Hopefully next time the rest of the team will turn up on a cold Thursday night in the Zoom land.
Yeah.
See how we get on.
Nice.
Anyway,
yeah.
Keke, thank you very much.
Kiitos, näkemiin.
It's moi from me. See you later.
You have been listening to the Finnish Football Show. You can find us online at finishfootballshow.com. Remember to subscribe to the show wherever you're listening or watching. You can follow the Finnish Football Show page and group on Facebook and on Instagram. See the links in the episode description below. You can also connect with the 4 hosts on Twitter, at Explore Finland, at Essi Sainio, at Escape to Suomi, at Keke. Links to the Finnish Football Show merch stores are also in the episode description.